Hey guys, and welcome back to Culture Boys, a show where two guys just want to have a chat. I'm Nathan, and as always, I'm joined by Pepe. And this week, not only are we talking about One Piece live action, it's not just two guys. We have a guest again.
I'm back.
Yes.
That's right, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back, Wilder. Welcome back, Sam. Thanks for joining us again.
Thank you for having me. As you both know, I am literally fresh out of watching 5 episodes this evening.
Oh yeah, you like proper marathon them then.
Literally finishing off. I got home at about 4 o'clock. It is 5 hours later, and I just watched all 5 hours.
Love that for you.
I laughed. I cried. It was a roller coaster.
Roller coaster of emotions going on. Yeah.
That was just because Sam had to watch all of them. It's got nothing to do with the episode.
Yeah.
Sam's just that tired.
I was just crying about it in general. Why am I doing this?
Oh, I've got to join the Cultured Boys again. They suck.
Oh God, why?
So yes, as Nathan said, the One Piece live action is out now. We've given you like a fair few weeks to watch it all as well, so there will be spoilers in here. It's a brand new show. We're just letting you know that.
Yes.
But yeah, like we'll be talking about all 8 episodes. They are all available to stream straight away on August 31st, I believe, weren't it? Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, we'll be just chatting away about that. Our thoughts as 3 One Piece fans. If you haven't known, like we did a theories video on One Piece a few weeks ago, like hosted by Sam himself. And now we're getting into the live action about it. So, right. Okay. We knew that the trailer was coming. We all had our initial thoughts on it.
Yeah.
But how do you guys feel about it overall? Like, having watched all the episodes since the trailer came out a few weeks ago, and your final thoughts after watching the series, what do you think overall? Like, how have your feelings changed about it? Like, what do you guys feel?
Please, Sam.
Okay, so the trailer, I was a bit like, okay. That was my thought on the trailer. I thought it did look goofy. It did look very cinematic. It looked like it had good production value. But I don't know, like, Inaki, I was like, I'm not too sure. He doesn't necessarily feel like Luffy. The rest didn't see too much of. So I was cautiously optimistic, I say, after watching the trailer.
Fair.
Because, you know, Netflix have butchered a lot of anime as live action in their time.
Yeah.
Coming out of it after watching all 8 episodes, I fucking loved it.
Mm.
I just loved it. And I am shook that I did, but like, I'll obviously get into more details later after hearing your guys' overall views, but I think, like, yes, production value, yes, cinematically, I think all 5 of the lead cast just smashed it. And, like, I know my initial thoughts I just said on Inaki, but I'm sorry, Inaki is the most perfect Luffy I've ever seen. I love him. And just, yeah, I am shocked by how good it actually was.
Yeah. Go on, Nathan, you say. You give your thoughts, bro.
Oh, sure. I wasn't actually that scared from the trailer. Like, watching it, I was like, okay.
Fair.
Inaki looks like Luffy, you know. I'm sure. I guess I had more faith because, like, I was reading articles beforehand, so I knew, like, Oda had his hand in it. He was executive producing. They refer to him a lot, so I wasn't so scared. But like Sam said, it's still Netflix, so I wasn't sure how much Netflix was gonna, like, fuck something up.
Yeah, valid.
Yeah, I was expecting something bad, but after watching it, I completely agree with Sam. Absolutely smashed it. Like, there's not much to complain about. Like, if anything, I can't really think of anything. The casting is spot on. The set pieces are amazing. Look pretty much ripped out of the manga. Like, everything is, like, done pretty well. And yeah, I've said it to Pepe outside of, like, this recording before, but, like, I do think this is, like, if you've ever been interested in One Piece and you didn't want to read the manga or watch the anime because it's thousands of chapters and episodes, this is kind of your chance. They've redone some things pretty well, so, like, this would be the perfect time for anyone to jump on and now become a One Piece fan. Like, they did it.
100% agree. They've made it so accessible for everyone, and like I think for any One Piece fan as well. Like even like I remember like this got announced back in I think like 2017, 2016. The fact that Netflix were doing this, so it's been a long time that this has been in production.
Yeah.
And I remember we had our own group at that point in WhatsApp, and I remember putting it in the WhatsApp group like, oh my god, this is actually confirmed. And I think all of us are like, oh really? Like all of us were kind of like a little bit skeptical just from the announcement. The fact that it's Netflix,
Especially after Bleach.
yeah. I mean, Death Note had just gone as well.
Oh, yeah.
Death Note.
Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah. No one likes that one.
The saving grace of that was Willem Dafoe. That's it.
Yeah, William Dafoe, like, he did get, that was the only redeeming factor. But, like, that was the one thing, and even, like, seeing the initial casting of, like, all those characters as well, when you saw the pictures, I had a little bit of hope. I was like, okay, yeah, this is good. We haven't seen their acting prowess, but we've seen the headshots. They look accurate, like, especially since Oda's revealed where each character actually, like, would be from, if they were in the real world as well. So, like, that's accurate. You give a little leeway on that.
Okay, yes, but what the hell accent was Sanji's?
Sounds like us.
Like, sometimes he was British, sometimes he was South African. I couldn't quite put my pin on it.
Sanji to me sounded a lot like us, to be fair.
I think Sanji, Taz Skylar, I think, who plays Sanji, I think he's British. So
I know, but sometimes he just sounded weirdly South African and it was really throwing me off.
I don't know. I feel like he has that strong London accent. I think, like,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he just sound like us, innit?
yeah.
Yeah, but there was this twang to it. And it was just sometimes had a little bit of a...
Would Madam like an aperitif?
Yeah.
That's true, that's true.
Like, that's the one thing. I don't know if he is from South London or whatever, but they're like, Nathan, you know.
He sounds hella like it.
He sounds proper South London.
I know Sanji's meant to be British from the...
He sound hella like us.
I think it's French, wasn't he?
I mean, French would make sense with the mouton shot.
Yeah, like the whole French.
That was amusing, hearing him say mouton shot.
Oh, but yeah, like even with that casting, like I'll give my initial thoughts on the trailer now, actually, because when I saw that, I was like you, Sam. I was cautiously optimistic about it. Like the fact that, like what Nathan said about the sets, the sets look brilliant.
Freudian slip.
Sex looked great.
Jesus Christ, that's the 18 plus One Piece. But no,
Pepe watched that indifferent than us.
the sets look amazing. Like honestly, like the fact that they made like the Going Merry, like the Baratier, all those sort of ones, like they did look absolutely stunning. I even thought the CGI with like the Sea King looks amazing. Like when that got revealed in the trailer, I think some
Yes.
You know what? Actually, in general, I didn't think the CGI was actually that bad.
No, I like in the trailer when we saw Gum Gum Pistol, I was like, okay, but then actually, obviously, it was like 2004 that the first Fantastic Four film came out or something like that. But like normally stretchy rubber powers just look weird, but they actually fit it so well, and I think they did it so well, and it just looked good. It worked.
I remember that was one of our biggest concerns. Like when me and Sam did the live action episodes way back.
Yeah, rubber powers.
Like when we did our One Piece discussion on that, me and Sam, that was one of our biggest concerns, was that the stretching was going to look horrendous. Because we just watched Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah.
And Lust had like the stretchy fingers and it looked weird. It looked really weird. And we were like, oh god, if it looks like that, this is fucked.
Yeah. Of the two devil fruits we saw in that series,
God, yeah, 22.
that and the chop chop fruit, like chop fruit was done incredibly.
Yeah.
Like that looked fantastic, and just like
Did my boy justice.
yeah, hands down, Jeff Ward was phenomenal as Buggy.
Honestly, like Jeff Ward, man, he came through like easily one of the best actors in the whole of the 8 episodes, man. He was really good, really good. Like,
I'm just glad that the audience reception is people are thirsty for Buggy.
isn't it?
People finally on my level here, yeah? They finally understand Buggy's the best character in One Piece. I've been saying this forever.
there's that unexpected buggy thirst right now, which is strange as anything. But like, yeah, it's there, and there's not much. I don't know. Like, I can understand where it comes from. I'm not that way inclined, but like, yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Jeff Wardner honestly smashed it out of the park. Like you said, like this is the thing when it comes back again. The CGI, it is like I'm gonna say this now. I don't think the CGI was perfect throughout the whole thing.
No.
No, there were some times.
So I think it was the bit that stood out to me. I think I heard I saw it got pointed out on social media. It's the fact where Luffy does the gum gum balloon.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I thought that looked good.
So the gum gum balloon I thought looked good. However, it's the rebound where the cannonball goes into the mast of Garp's ship.
Oh yeah, suddenly it did look a bit like,
It looks very amateur After Effectsy.
yeah.
But this is the one thing, I wouldn't have noticed that unless I saw it on like TikTok and like YouTube and those sort of things. That's the only time that I saw that.
I actually hadn't noticed until you just said it.
Exactly, that's the one thing I wouldn't have noticed. I didn't notice until thingy.
I didn't. Yeah, I watched it through twice already,
Mm.
and I both times it just in the moment, all the action, I hadn't actually noticed that.
Nah, that's honestly it's the same. Like I think there's certain things I think because people are watching this so much, and it's a Netflix show, which like it was like the top of Netflix's streaming like worldwide. Like last week, like 18 million people had seen this. Like it's absolutely incredible
Yeah.
for One Piece as well, like an anime series. Like
Yeah, and I'm rewatching it again, starting it next week with Miss Wilderside, Carolina.
yeah,
She's willing to give it a go. But you know, the one thing, because you know the CGI was very hit and miss, but the one thing that I feel like is going to ramp up the CGI budget massively in the next one is when we're going to have a CGI talking reindeer in every single scene.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
I think, well, this is the one thing with it as well. Like, where season 1 has stopped, it just stops after Arlong Park. And I think that's probably the best place to stop it for a season 1. Because if you go get a season 2, this is where we're going into Smoker's powers as well. That's another devil fruit.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, that is another one that will definitely add to the CGI budget
Yeah.
because he's pretty much always using his powers.
Well, true. So we're pretty much going to have... I would imagine if I had a prediction, Season 2 would probably be Logue Town going into the Grand Line, Drum Island, and potentially end with Chopper joining and starting the Alabasta arc, and Season 3 would probably be half Alabasta, half Water 7.
That doesn't sound like a bad shout.
Something like that, maybe?
It's a really hard one to call right now because...
Not even Water 7, it would be half Alabasta, half Sky Island.
Well, you got Sky... Yeah, this is the other thing. You got... Even Water 7, you got the Foxy arc before Water 7, so...
And Foxy's been teased, so...
Guaranteed, the fact that they cut Don Krieg out of this, they're going to cut Foxy. No way they're doing Foxy.
I was gonna say it depends on how they're doing it, because that was one thing I was saying to friend of the show Matt from the Powered Up couple was it was kind of strange some of the choices they made, like when they really cut the fat, because it was like I understand showing Don Krieg to have that whole like interaction to show Mihawk being like a sick character, right? But at the same time, I'm like, well, does it really matter to have Don Krieg then if you're going to cut him that much when in the manga he played such a big part, right? At least in that section. If you were going to cut it that much, did we even need to really see him talk? You could have just had the poster and then Mihawk could have cut him down and then that could have been it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree with a lot of the pacing choices though. Like, I understand why they got rid of Don Krieg for it, because it did make a lot more sense, because, you know, there was the whole build up to Nami's story and what's going on with her. So having Arlong as such a more prominent part of it,
Yeah.
and then, you know, building up that tension to him being the kind of main villain at the end of the series, essentially,
Yeah.
worked really well, actually, I think. And I think, who is it? It was McKinley Belcher the third who played Arlong.
Arlong, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I was a bit skeptical when I first saw Arlong, but then the design really grew on me, and I think he played him amazingly.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the overarching thing that's going to happen is like...
Everyone played them well.
Seriously, we as a trio cannot stress enough how much the cast really fucking smashed it.
Mm.
Even the guy who played Kuro, like Kuro was perfect.
Oh my god, he was so good.
He was perfect.
I will say this one thing about Kuro, right? Okay, if I was gonna say any criticisms of this show, this is my one thing, right? Because I think Syrup Village episodes 3 and 4 may have been the weakest ones. If I was gonna, I'm gonna look. This is me like just like if I was gonna say it.
Is it the quick step CGI?
Is the quick step CGI is one of the things that it's the fact that like he stands still and just moves around and
Yeah, okay, yeah.
It was no worse than What's Her Face in Heroes, the speedy lady.
True. Very true.
yeah, but grant in mind the fact that Heroes was over 10 years ago as well. So,
True.
And, so I'm I'm not gonna shit on this too much because I did really enjoy it. I can kind of see like why Kuro is a little bit more of a fan favorite in some senses, because I will say he did get better in episode 4 when obviously he's no longer Kalahador, he's
Coulda, yeah.
Yeah.
when Kuro first got introduced, I did cringe a little bit with the Kalahador stuff because, one, I think the costume was a little bit whack as well. I think they could have considering they adapted Arlong's costume and Buggy's one, like, I feel like they could have done his costume a little, like the Kalahador costume a little bit more, I don't know, just adapt it to make it look a little bit less awkward. That's one thing. I wasn't too keen on that. However, again, like when he transformed and actually showed his sneaky side, I think the guy played it brilliantly. I think he did that whole like the creepy like Miss Kaya sort of thing, walking through the like.
Oh, that switch was so good.
He did that well.
That's like my favorite part of episode 4.
And I also really liked Shaman Bucci. I mean,
Yeah, they actually weren't that bad either, to be fair.
Yeah, they would do so.
yeah, I mean, they were good. They were good. I mean, obviously they gender swapped Sham, but not an issue.
Yeah, nah,
But yeah, because they are the Meowum brothers or something like that.
something like that. Yeah.
So you didn't get a sense that they were related. They were just working together on the same crew.
Mm.
But either way, like, you know, I think they played them quite well. I liked Bucci a lot. He made me chuckle. They kept that whole, he was very much still a chef despite poisoning Kaya.
Yeah, that's actually true. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, which I quite enjoyed, which is very, I think he's quite like that in the anime, if I remember. Kuro was great. Who else did I adore? Helmeppo, he was great.
Oh, man.
Nah, that was the biggest surprise for me. The fact that, one, they kept Helmeppo around that long. I know, like, there's the Garp stuff. Him and Kobe are, like, obviously training on the Garp. Obviously, that was always in the manga.
Yeah.
And they extended this Garp stuff a lot more than I ever expected them to.
I kind of see why.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the reason why they did it is because Luffy's story obviously very much starts with Kobe.
Yeah.
And I think from like anime manga storytelling perspective, it makes sense to suddenly forget about someone and then you see them years later. So Water 7 and you're like, oh my god, there's Kobe. But from like a television drama storytelling point of view, for him to be built up so much in the first 2 episodes, for him to suddenly disappear, the audience,
So true. Yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't be invested in him, yeah.
yeah, they'd be like, what happened to Kobe?
Yeah. So true. Yeah.
But now that kind of story's gone full arc, and at the end of it, it was Kobe and Helmeppo just like, this is what I want to do, and Garp's like, I'm going to train you then. I would not be surprised if we get nothing of them in Series 2. And Series 3, they'll come back if we do reach the end of Water 7, for example.
I 100% agree with you there, because like what the thing is with Garp, Helmeppo, and Kobe, like they played that like those parts brilliantly as well. Like just aside that what you were saying before,
Kobe was perfect.
Kobe is perfect. Helmeppo was hilarious. Like I love the actor that did that.
Yeah.
And even Garp, like I was a little bit thrown off by the Scottish accent at first, but like it grew on me.
I feel, yeah, it grows on you, to be fair. Like, and it does make sense. Like, I was saying this to someone else, like, who said the same thing, like, oh, it's weird Garp is Scottish. I'm like, yeah, but if you think about it, like, one of the only facts I know about Brazil is that it is a massive mixing pot of cultures.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it really isn't that much of a stretch to think
stretch
that there's probably some random Scottish man
Who had children with Brazilians, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
It just kind of would make sense, right? Like,
No, absolutely. No, that's what I was saying. Like, I don't. Like, I think it just caught me off guard a little bit, but even then, the rest of the series wasn't even a problem for me.
No, not at all.
I just love Garp with his little hat on though.
Oh, the dog hat.
Yeah, like he wears it like for a little bit and then it never comes back. But I was just like never expecting to see this actual like grizzled real life man wearing this stupid hat.
Oh yeah, no, I love that they kept all of those kind of like goofy One Piece things in though. So, you know,
Yeah.
you have Garp in his hat. You have, I can't think of his name, the other Marine captain with the mouse ears.
Oh, Nezumi. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and he's got the little whiskers, like
Yeah, and he's got his little whiskers and everything like that as well. And, you know, all of it. And Mary, obviously, still had his sheep horns and all of that.
I did very dirty.
It still keeps all those wacky One Piece little bits. Like, even like as a new viewer to the show, would be like, why is he wearing a dog hat? That's so random. Like, because you wouldn't have any context for it. However, it does work, and that is paying homage to the character. And the fact that he has a dog at the front of his, as the figurehead of his ship, makes sense. Like, it's a thing. But yeah, like as I said before, so before we move on, it's the fact that like those three have their own side story was so good to have in the series because it did break up Luffy's journey as well.
Yeah.
Because while you've got Luffy's journey, it would be a lot just to see this crew over and over again. But it's also good to cut back and see these other characters' journeys as well. You know what I mean? Like, so you're seeing like Kobe progress as a Marine. You're seeing his friendship develop with Helmeppo. Obviously, you're seeing Garp slowly, like the reveal of that. Oh yeah, it's Luffy's grandfather, and you're like, what?
That's true. It does make me think. I wonder what they're gonna do to break it up a bit more in a second season.
That's my one concern with it, is the fact that
Maybe they are just going to follow Kobe forever.
I think you were right in that they won't follow them so heavily, but I think what will happen is we're going to get little snippets of the training, you know, just little bits to keep us invested to be like, oh, these characters are still around.
Yeah.
They're still important in some way. They will play a part in some fashion, but not maybe in the same way we have now where like it's the A and B story. I think it really will just be sort of like cutaways where there's like, oh, now we're going to be doing like a running montage. We're suffering from this training. It's hard. Garp is giving like tough training or motivational speeches or something. And it's just sort of like going to be little cutaways, I reckon. Again, it depends on how they move stuff around again as well.
My one hope, right, is like I personally think that the Kobe, Garp, and Helmeppo strand has ended with season 1. I think we will see them further down the line. However, I think that second strand, that side story, will follow Smoker.
I was actually kind of thinking that.
Oh, actually, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Because realistically, that's the one thing. Obviously, if you start with Logetown, and the fact you get Luffy meeting Smoke, obviously Dragon's there as well. You get that little bit of like you get that in the first episode mixed with another island afterwards.
Plus, Smoker is another big character that you would need to be invested in for the next chunk because he will keep coming back.
And then he comes back, it will be following him until he comes back in Alabasta. Yeah.
Exactly. This is my thing. And realistically, when they can, like, we've seen that they're not afraid to change the scripts as well.
Yeah.
And the fact that Garp turns up at the Baratier and Arlong turns up at the Baratier. Everyone's turning up at the Baratier. And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, and you know, Smoker's whole thing is after Logetown, he is pretty much just chasing Luffy for ages.
Exactly.
For ages. So it could just be, it'll be the same kind of thing again, but now it's Smoker chasing him.
But the great thing is with that as well, Smoker chasing him, but not necessarily meeting him on every island, is that Smoker can run into various enemies that would have to be cut down for the series to work.
True.
We might also get quick introductions to other characters. Maybe not necessarily see them, but you know, like when Luffy was looking at the wanted posters the first time and you still saw like Bellamy and some other like characters that'll come in later, you sort of see their posters. It could be a similar thing where maybe you hear of them, he mentions a name, maybe there's a poster in the background, maybe they just walk past and they're not doing anything bad just yet. But you're right, yeah, that would actually be quite a good way to introduce more characters.
My ideal thing with that would be Ace like meeting Smoker.
Oh, but that's CG, man.
That's our introduction to Ace if he meets Smoker but doesn't meet Luffy. Because we know for a fact that on Drum Island, like, I can't remember if it's after or before, we get, like, I think Kureha saying to Dalton, I think it is, like I said, oh yeah, there's this guy that turned up, like looking for Blackbeard. Because obviously Ace is there. That's our first introduction to Ace, but it's only like a throwaway comment.
Yeah.
So, like, where Luffy is going to Drum Island or he's going to Whiskey Peak, if they do start that Baroque story off, like, we can have, like, Ace's side to it. We can see, like, people like Mr. Freed, not necessarily fighting Luffy, but fighting Smoker. I don't know if they want to give Smoker that huge part, but, like, he has been teased. So I think he might be a major part of the second season, but it depends on what they want to go for it. The thing is, the Road to Alabasta, there's so many different arcs in that. Will they even choose to include stuff like Laboon? Will they choose to do stuff like the Giants with Dory and Brogy?
I feel like they do Laboon at least maybe for half an episode because it's so relevant to one of the actual crew members.
Yeah.
So they would do it for Brook for when Brook comes into it. And obviously we have to do Drum Island. And to do Drum Island, I can, as much as it pains me, I can see them skipping over Dory and Brogy.
Yeah.
And I can see Nami getting ill in just a generic way, and they have to go and find a doctor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But that makes me really sad because one of my top wish lists for season 2 is Jack Black playing Brogy.
Fair enough.
That is such a random cast. I've never heard of that kind of. But
I just think it'd work really well.
well, who would play Dory then? If Jack Black's playing?
Gosh, that would be a hard one. I don't know, but Brogy's just like, he's got a Jack Black build to him, you know?
I can see what you mean. I can see that.
But if we are talking big celebs coming into it, the one that I think is actually going to happen is Jamie Lee as Dr. Kureha.
100%. I was saying this to a friend the other day.
Because she has already said that she loves One Piece, she loves Chopper, and if she could, she would play Nico Robin, but what she would play because of her age is she thinks she would be Dr. Kureha.
100%.
That would be wicked.
Easy. Because this is the one thing as well. We have to remember that, like, I can understand why they didn't go for a major, like, massive cast for this kind of thing for season 1. Because you never know what the reception is going to be like for it.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't want to go for like a massive cast where there's a very little payoff. However, seeing that like season 1 has done so well and like it's like beaten records on Netflix, it's like this is an even bigger thing for Netflix to put budget behind it and get those like massive names. And I feel like if JB Lee Curtis is already on board for doing this, I mean, it's an easy sell, surely. I feel like it'd be a shame not to have her as Kureha.
She'd actually work so well as Kureha as well.
She would. I think Sam in the one, like the live action stuff before, sent me an article about it or something, or someone had,
Yeah.
I can't remember what, but like I saw, you showed me something.
Yeah, there was a video of someone asking her about One Piece at a red carpet or something, and she was just saying how she would be she's a big fan. And they were like, you know, the One Piece live action is going on. And she's just like, yeah. And they said, would you want to be in it? She was like, 100%. She goes, I should be with my age, Dr. Kureha. So, you know, it's out there in the universe somewhere. So
It would be an amazing casting anyway, because like she fits in the same ethos as like the rest of the crew. Because I've been watching loads of like, I wouldn't say loads, but I've watched some like, you know, like behind the scenes kind of things. And a lot of the cast are already actually One Piece fans.
Yeah.
So like it comes across better when you like are also enthused about the like source material.
100%.
So like where Jamie Lee is also a big One Piece fan and the cast themselves are big One Piece fans, it just sort of like, you know what I mean? Like, it would just make sense. Why not cast someone who cares?
Like, we know for a fact that Emily Rudd was a massive fan of One Piece before she even got the role of Nami as well.
she was so good. I really like her for Nami.
She was amazing. Honestly, great performance from Emily. And imagine having that on-screen, like, potential with Jamie Lee as Kureha and Nami, because they do interact a couple times in Drum Island.
Yeah.
Imagine that on-screen. That'd be incredible.
That would be so cool.
Yeah.
Do you reckon they'd get the same voice actor back for Chopper? Just use the usual one?
Don't know.
They could, honestly. This is the one thing they have the great... They could easily do that because with Chopper, he's solely a CGI character.
Mm-hmm. Same with Brook.
And like we've said, like, the Japanese cast are literally in the Japanese dub.
Yeah, all the voice actors, yeah.
Like, yeah, they're literally here, like, in the show doing it. So having Chopper would easily be doable.
It would make sense as well. And so, again, same when they come to do Brook.
It appease the fans so well.
The more we talk about Chopper, though, the more I'm wondering, would it not? Do you reckon it would be cheaper to just do a practical? Just have a puppet of him and animate. Like just have a puppet and then do like ADR afterwards or something. Or would CGI be cheaper? You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
You know that like obviously the Den Den Mushies were puppets, so it's one of those ones where it could work. I don't know how like. I don't know, yeah, I can see Sam being a bit skeptical here. Like, would you rather a CGI Chopper then?
I would like a decent CGI'd Chopper, but I feel like this is the kind of thing where they had such a huge budget already, they will likely have an even bigger budget for the second one. And let's be honest, there's probably plans for what the hell happens when we get to Chopper.
Yeah.
What the hell happens when we get to Brooke? Quite frankly, what the hell happens when we get to Frankie? Like, 3 of these crew members are the most weird-looking people in the world.
Yeah, but Frankie, I feel like you'd have an easier time.
Yeah, but I mean, with his giant forearms, and just...
My one concern with that is, again, like, I know Don Craig didn't have much of a on-screen time or whatever, but, like, the budget for Don Craig was quite low.
John Craig.
Don Craig, I don't know what the fuck is John. But, like, like, he had the armor.
Who cares? He wasn't in it that much.
He had like the armor and it looks like it was quite plasticky, and like it did that. Like obviously he's only on screen for a bit, they're not going to put massive detail. It's a hard thing to do because the guy had like, was it gold plated armor or something like that, like some
yeah,
like I don't know, then he had diamond knuckles. They were never going to put that much effort into him, especially since he didn't really contribute much,
especially because he's about to get cut down in like 2 minutes. So why would they bother?
My one thing with that is that obviously Frankie's got more screen time, like if they ever do get to that, but like I don't know. There's a lot of concerns there. Brooke and Chopper, you can manage because look at Guardians of the Galaxy, for example. We have Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah.
That is true.
I know that's Disney Marvel and that's a whole other thing.
Netflix have the money, man. Netflix have the money.
They do.
Yeah, but it's whether they choose to invest the money. That's the other part.
Yeah, we have to see with that, like how it goes.
True. But I feel we should get more back into what we have just watched rather than talk about our hopes for season 2.
Absolutely.
There is a few things I mentioned. I laughed, I cried. Like a couple of bits really got me in it. And I think the best moment in the entire series for me, and it was because it was just so panel and anime perfect as well, was the end of episode 7 when, Nami asks Luffy for help. And I remember when we spoke about One Piece a while back, and I mentioned, that when Oda draws the serious eyes, where it's just like the little lines and then that dot in the middle of them that shows like Luffy's just like well angry. Inaki encapsulated that perfectly. For someone who's so happy-go-lucky throughout all of it, then suddenly you could really feel how pissed he was about it all. And just word for word, line for line, how she was like, you have no idea what's going on. He's just like, I don't. And, and all of this. And then when he then walks back and you have Usopp, Sanji, and Zoro, and they were all sat in the exact perfect panel position. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so good. And I was already crying at Emily Rudd crying, quite frankly. Like, I was just, it was very powerful, the whole thing. And I think that was, such a good moment in that show.
So true. Like, it's those little homage bits where, this is the great thing about this series is that, yes, it is One Piece and it takes a lot from the source material. It would do because it's One Piece.
Yeah.
But, they make, small changes here and there which make well for an adaptation. It also obviously is. But it's those small bits here and there. Like you said, the literally frame by frame bit where it is, because it's such an epic part. That bit where, where Luffy's like, let's go, and he's talking to his
It's the biggest moment of East Blue, quite frankly, because it's the Straw Hats coming together for the first time properly.
Oh, 100%.
And speaking on that as well, when Zoro loses to Mihawk, I think they did it really well, although it was also really bugging me slightly, and I had to look it up and I couldn't quite find it, because I swear after Zoro says, that I'll never lose again, I swear he goes, "Is that all right with you, Captain?"
He does.
And he didn't do that because at that point in this, he hadn't yet completely sworn his allegiance to Luffy. And then he does it a bit later.
Yeah.
But it's just that he pretty much says it word for word. And he's like, you'd be disappointed if I didn't become the greatest swordsman, wouldn't you? And then he's just like, I swear I'll never lose again. And then he falls out. I was just waiting for that because it would have been the first time he called him it. And I was just waiting for that. Is that all right with you, Captain? But I didn't get that. It still worked.
Doesn't he say King of the Pirates? Like, is that alright if you're King of the Pirates?
Yeah, something like that. Is that all right with you, King of the Pirates? So you don't quite do it.
I know what you mean. Like, I think there is that little bit. Okay, this is the one thing as well. Like, script changes, I'm not like necessarily upset with. I think it worked well with it. It did the job. This is one thing I agree with you completely. It would have been nice to have it thrown in, but it does a job when it does it. You know what I mean? It worked.
It was still a powerful scene.
And when he wakes up later, he contributes to that as well. Like, he says, like, oh yeah, like I'll be your first mate or whatever, like along those lines. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, I swear my allegiance to you, blah, blah, blah.
On a tangent of that, where's Mihawk supposed to be from? Like, has Oda ever said that?
Hello, I'm Mihawk. He sounds like he's from Transylvania, quite frankly.
Yeah, Dracul, yeah, so it's like...
Well, because to me, Mihawk just sounded like a fancy Brit.
He was a fancy Brit.
Like, in my mind, Mihawk always had sort of like a Latin accent, like a Spanish accent or something. So when he speaks and he's like just fancy British, I just sort of was like,
Oh, hello, Garp. How are you?
One moment.
Why does he sound like Vincent Price?
Because that's probably who they based him on.
I completely agree with you, Nathan. There's so many different places where
people could have been from, yeah.
Because I know in the original 4Kids dub, he was French.
Really? Weird.
Hello, I am Dracul Mihoka. That was not French. I'm sorry.
That's not French. But tones of it were right. But he was also called Hawkeye Mihawk in that 4Kids dub. So
Hawkeye Mihawk. He was.
But I can kind of vibe with Mihawk though. Like, he surprised me. I think the only thing, like, casting of Mihawk was great. I thought he did a really good job.
Don't get me wrong, he was amazing. It was literally just like, I wasn't expecting that. Much like with everyone else in like Garp.
Yeah.
Or Sanji.
The costuming for Mihawk was amazing as well.
That was spot on. Absolutely spot on, yeah. Love that.
Spot on. I'm so happy with that costume. I like the way it turned out.
Yeah.
But again, it was just when I was expecting him to sound Spanish and instead I heard some, fancy guy from central London. I'm like,
Man owns like a company in Central. He owns like those flats in Greenwich, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's walking around like, hello, I'm Mihawk, Dracul Mihawk.
Just killing time. But I think the only thing that I have, my one problem with Mihawk, and I guess he can't really do anything about it, is the contact lenses in his eyes looked kind of strange. I think it kind of out of place. I understand, the character has them.
Yeah.
I think that was the only thing that caught me off guard. Like, it looked a little bit cheesy, but I'm not going to complain too much about that. I still think he did a smashing job.
I mean, yeah, again, these are like a lot of the things I will probably end up bringing up are very minor gripes.
Literally that.
Because it's just kind of like, I just reading the manga the whole time. Like, I've never watched the anime, so I've never heard any voices, only what's in my head.
Interesting, yeah.
So it's a lot of things I just like, I didn't expect that. It's like the Baratier, I didn't expect everyone to be Cockney, or like Zeph to be Cockney, but like that's my favorite. That whole thing, like Sanji and Zeph, I loved. But it was really funny that Zeph is just like, oh, what you think you're doing, little eggplant? You get off my line. If you serve that in my kitchen, you're out. It's like, all right.
Man channeled the Gordon Ramsay. He channeled...
Yeah, innit? Like...
Literally, it was just a Kitchen Nightmares episode, that, wasn't it?
It was so good. But, oh my god, Zeph and Sanji are so freaking good. Easily some of the best actors in that whole season as well. Like
100%.
I loved that dynamic, honestly. That was such a good dynamic.
It was just so reminiscent of how they should be. So that's what was so great about it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Nathan, I texted Pepe yesterday when I was watching episode 3,
Yeah.
and I just said to him, I just saw Mary for the first time, and it just, for some reason, got me so emotional.
The boat, not the guy.
Yeah, the boat.
Oh, I was a bit confused. I was thinking, why would Sam be emotional about the sheep
The
man?
sheep man.
The second it came on screen, I don't know, I was just like, something hit me, and I was like, oh my god, oh, it's Mary.
Wow. Fair.
It's because Mary, like, this is the one thing with it. Like, again, spoilers for One Piece. But like,
This point,
obviously,
come on.
Mary fucking dies. So, like, seeing like the ship, obviously, because if you're a current manga or anime watcher, you know the ship is the Sunny right now, and the Sunny is like the main ship, and like Mary's death is emotional. What, like, I still think Water 7 and its lobby is one of the best arcs in One Piece in general, and Mary's death just tops that arc off amazingly because it's so fucking emotional. And for anyone watching the live action and seeing Mary, it's like, oh fuck, that's the ship that we know what happens to him in the end as well. Out of all the characters, we know what happens to this member of the crew, really.
Which they made very clear it is a member of the crew as well.
Luffy does say that because they're like, oh yeah, we're just gonna steal a ship, right? And he's like, no. The ship is a part of the crew. It's a member of the crew. We have to find the right one.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the 10th member of Luffy's crew, so there will be no more people in it. Sunny is a crew member.
Well, I mean, then wouldn't that technically make Sunny the 11th because Mary was already a crew member that they lost?
Mary's dead. Doesn't matter.
Nero gets replaced.
We just replace our crewmates.
Yeah. Oh, I need 10. Oh, that one's ticked off now. I've got to find another one. It's like a waiting list. Yamato, Vivi, Carrot, they're all on that waiting list waiting to get in.
Yeah, don't worry, guys. As soon as someone else drops off, you'll be in.
It's like
You're just on the bench. No, it's like a team, you know, like a sports team. They're on the bench. You're subbing once someone else has to go off the field.
I'm just looking at the list of names, and two things.
Yes.
One, are they going to recast Alvida?
Oh.
Because she was great, but kind of, will they?
I don't know.
You can't make an actor lose weight for a role as well. This is the one thing. That's incredibly.
Exactly.
No, but if they're already doing CGI and stuff, I guess they could just do that too. Have the same voice, but CGI.
Oh, God. That's.
I know, it doesn't always work very well.
Remind me what her devil fruit power is.
The slide fruit. So she makes people slide. Yeah.
Slide, yeah, she gets really slippery, which is why she goes thin. Yeah.
This is the one thing as well. Alvida losing weight isn't really essential to the plot either.
No, yeah, that's true.
No, not at all. They could just give her the power. And then have her, because we know from the end of this season, her and Buggy, we're getting that team up, which they were just setting up Logtown completely at the end there.
100%. Like, you need that to be like, again, Dragon turning up, and obviously like the fact that Smoker like sees the fact that Luffy laughs on those gallows. It's like everything there is just.
Tashigi's gonna look identical to what's her face?
Koina. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Koina, but obviously older. And it's the other thing. Where was Hachi?
Okay, so like Hachi has a great character arc in the whole of One Piece because he starts off as an enemy. Again, the nicest out of all the fishermen from Arlong Park.
Mm-hmm.
And you see his redemption, especially like in the side panels in the manga.
Yeah, when he's searching for his wife and his takoyaki shop and all that. Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. Like, it works. So my one thing, if Hachi is essential to the plot further down on the Shabadi archipelago, I can't remember if I pronounced that right or not.
Sabaody archipelago.
Thank you. Like, if it is essential, they'll just introduce him later on.
I was also thinking that, like, I don't think it matters too much having him in Arlong Park or not. Even if we were just meeting him and what's her face, the mermaid, in Sabaody, if we ever get there, then Luffy still, after meeting them and them showing him around for a while, is still going to react in the exact same way when he sees someone mistreating someone.
Yeah.
To that point, I literally was just thinking about it. Do you think they could move Hachi to, let's say, just to pad out extra like world building in Logtown, right? Because Arlong's already been like, we've been oppressed, we were slaves.
Mm.
Do you think to make Hachi even more likable to potential audiences, if they introduce Hachi as a slave that Luffy saves and sympathizes with or empathizes with, do you think that would be a better way to introduce Hachi instead of having like a
Maybe.
redemption where he's part of Arlong's crew, instead saving a slave or what captured whatever like fishman?
Maybe.
It's not a bad shot, yeah.
It's just, yeah, it's just he's just an odd character choice to remove, is all. Obviously, I appreciate why they kept what's his face, the one that Usopp beats, because we needed to have Usopp have.
Oh, true, yeah.
Yeah, we needed to have Usopp needed some kind of win in that entire series, because otherwise he'd have just been running around like hiding and crying.
Oh, he really did.
See, that's the funniest thing is like in our group, Sam Sam messaged like, I forgot how like annoying Usopp is at the start. And I completely agree.
But I love post time skip Usopp. I'm not huge of.
See, and this is why like before I ever got into One Piece, when me and Pepe first started like hanging out, Pepe would tell me about One Piece and I'd ask him questions because I'm like, oh yeah, that's just the pirate anime, right? And he's like, yeah, but it's like, and then he'd always get to. I remember one time Pepe was trying to explain to me why it wasn't Usopp on this poster he bought and it was Soge King. And it sticks in my mind because I'm just like, Usopp in the early stages, and this is just me talking about the actual character. I'm not saying anything about the actors or anything, but Usopp sucks. I hate Usopp. Early Usopp, I've always hated. He's like the least likable character on the crew for me. So like when Pepe said earlier, like, episode 3 and 4 were like the weak ones, I'm like, that's because it's focused on fucking early Usopp. He sucks.
Like, we love Soge King, and like I love post time skip Usopp. He's fantastic. Like, God Usopp is the best. But yeah, and he does become a little bit more capable and a little bit more badass. Probably, actually, I'd say post Sky Island is when he finally starts becoming a bit more handy and actually useful.
I would have thought it was like right after the whole like Water 7 like Soge King stuff, isn't it?
Oh, Ennis Lobby, again, this is why it's the best artist, because you have that conflict between Luffy and Usopp, like Usopp being one of the weakest members of his crew. However, standing up to Luffy, even though he knows he can't win, goes up against him anyway. And that's where you see that is one of the thing. And like, obviously he wants to be a brave warrior of the seas, and even Little Garden, that he does quite good in that, because obviously he's with Dory and Broggy, and that's where he gets more of his, like, I don't know, bravery stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's a big character thing for Usopp, and it's where they learn about Elbaf and everything. So as much as I can see them skipping it over, I don't want them to.
But they might not necessarily.
True.
Because again, like, we have no idea how it's getting, like, what's getting cut, what's getting moved, what's getting anything,
It's true.
I will say, just because I was shitting on Usopp the character, I mean, we said it many times before with all the cast, but Jacob Romero Gibson fucking smashed it as Usopp.
Yeah.
He did.
And, like, he really did, because I actually liked Usopp in the live action. Granted, the character still runs away, doesn't do much. But when he was just like being Usopp, like telling tall tales and just like making a bunch of crap up, he was great at it. Like, I believed it.
He does it really well, yeah.
And I liked how they had Luffy, like, they all kind of just in the manga and the anime just kind of brush it off when Usopp tells these things.
Yeah.
But the fact that even then, like, at the end there, when they're all having their party and celebrating, Luffy just acknowledges him and he's like, yeah, we couldn't have done it without Captain Usopp. That was just really nice. It was a nice moment,
The crew know what he's about, and you get, like, that's the thing, you get a strong, like, you know what Usopp's character is. This is one thing for me. It doesn't mess around in the series about it. You get to the fact that he's a liar. You know that he just chats shit all the time.
Yeah.
It's great. Like, you know that the crew acknowledge that. It's not like the crew just keep him around, like, and laughing at him. Like, they know what he's like. Even, like, as an audience member, you know what he's like.
And you also, and I guess it's because they're humans and they're not cartoons, but I feel like I felt a lot more in that than I do sometimes in the manga and anime, like more of a camaraderie and a friendship between them.
Yeah. I agree, yeah.
Like, it's hard to show that in a cartoon, isn't it? But, like, just the little nuances that they have there. Like, even like Zoro and Nami's relationship, arguably in the manga, it's pretty much non-existent.
They did it so well.
Like, it was really nice. It was good. It was sweet. And, the little scene of them drinking together, playing their drinking game, I really liked that. And it built it up a lot more.
100% agree. I think it's one of those ones as well, like, that's what you're saying, like, about building those those relationships between the characters and make them feel like an actual crew. Like they do that so well in this series. I know, like we said, oh yeah, we lost Hachi in this series. However, we do see Zoro and Sanji fight Kurobi.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Like Sanji's just been introduced, so you barely see him interacting with some of those characters. But like you really get a sense of like Sanji and Zoro's rivalry from that.
Yeah.
From that one scene where they're fighting him, like you just see like them bouncing off each other.
And their whole dynamic, yeah.
That's the one thing, like losing Hachi is, yeah, it's a shame. However, you do get that camaraderie of Zoro and Sanji from that. So
True.
I do like in that also, like, very small moment. I think they put it in some promotional material or something I saw. But like, you know, right after they finish, they've won, they beat Arlong, and then like Sanji's like turns around, sticks his arms out. Like they really play into he's the new guy.
yeah.
Like he's just joined and he's there like, yeah, Nami, oh my god. And she like runs straight past him, hugs the rest of the crew. I'm like, yeah, that's right. Why would she hug you, bro? You're the new guy. You just joined.
Yeah, literally, you pretty much you left before he even joined the crew.
Yeah.
Innit?
It's so true.
Why would she run to hug you? Also, you're the creepy waiter guy that's like been hitting on her the whole time. Why would she run to you?
I will say that I love that they've toned down Sanji's creepiness,
Yeah.
because they've made him more of a flirt here rather than oh my god, my beautiful lady, like you're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Like,
And that makes sense because otherwise, like, a lot of people would be absolutely hating on him if he was just literally like.
yeah.
I mean, you can still see that when, you know, Robin's there and Nami's there, he's still going to kind of like half sort of par the others off to be like, oh, let me serve you a drink and stuff. But
Yeah.
not in like a, oh my god, Nami Swan way where he's going to get, you know.
He doesn't over cheese it at all, and that's the one.
Yeah.
Even when he first gets introduced, he's all about, oh yeah, welcome to our shitty restaurant. What the fuck do you want? Like, but then he switches it when he sees Nub. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, like you said, like, madam, here's the aperitifs and all this.
Would Madam like an aperitif?
Yeah.
He had a cigarette at the table while talking to Luffy, but I kind of wish he smoked a bit more. Him doing all of that fighting with a fag in his mouth would have been so Sanji, and it would have been great.
Yeah.
It would, but I think this is maybe where, because it's Netflix.
Netflix, yeah.
Yeah, but it was so. There's children going to be watching this, and it was so violent.
Oh yeah, they dropped the F-bomb a couple times, yeah.
Yeah, but you don't get this sense from the manga and stuff. But like, I'm sorry, like Zoro must have killed about 90 fishmen in that last episode. Like literally murdered.
Yeah, but Zoro's like carries around 3 swords. He's got to kill a bunch of people.
I know, true. He's clearly killing people, and Luffy's not even giving a shit about it.
He sliced the guy in half in the first episode as well. So...
And that was Baroque Works being teased, but you know that does actually happen and all. But yeah,
Yeah, but like it's one of those ones where, yeah, I can understand why they, just because smoking is such a thing, like it's hard to get away with that. Like if a guy's smoking the whole thing, it's like, especially with promos as well, like they cannot show him smoking any promos whatsoever.
true. But then Smoko had his 2 cigars in hand at the end.
Yeah, but they weren't like really that like prominent.
Okay, but if Smoker literally has a cigar hanging out of his mouth the entire time, I'm going to have complaints.
Well, this is the one thing with Sanji as well, in the fact that even when he was smoking, a lot of it is cut around. So, for example, you see him lighting the cigarette, but you see him covering his mouth while doing it. You don't actually see him toking. You just see that he has it.
True.
And when he is holding it, it's out of shot. So again, you need to have that. Like,
Honestly, I think it's just because Sanji being one of the main characters, like one of the crew, and I think it's just probably more a statement on just weird censorship that it's like, yeah, violence is okay, but don't you dare show kids that it's okay to smoke all the time. The main characters better not smoke.
Having watched that, I wouldn't have my kids watching it until they're at least 13, 14, 15.
no, absolutely not, yeah.
Too violent, and Zoro swore at one point, like more than shitty.
He says
He was
fucking
like,
clown.
He was like, fucking clown.
But that was so good though. Like, that's the one thing, like, even having Buggy like last throughout the whole series, not just being forgotten about in that first arc, like the first fight, was brilliant. Having him in the bag just cracking jokes the whole time is brilliant.
He can't come back now, sadly. until he'll come back for Loketown.
Yeah.
But after that, he can't come back because he gets caught by Smoker, right? So they can't have him come back.
I mean, hell, you don't know. Buggy might be the B side story. You know, he might be the B story. Now we're following Buggy around, like Buggy's weird adventures.
Buggy being transported to Annie's lobby.
Freaking Buggy collecting his crew of like all these misfits. Like, because obviously Mr. Free joins. I know it's in Impel Down.
That's what I meant. Impel Down.
If they do show the Buggy collecting a crew of all these people that Luffy's...
That's what I'm saying.
Mr. Free is like Little Garden as well, so it depends on how they actually incorporate. And it's also a candle wax man, so God knows how to go show that.
There's going to be a lot more devil fruits next season.
That's it. Oh, 100%. Like, it's a lot more Logias as well, so...
And Zone.
I mean, it's only literally onwards and upwards from here when it comes to devil fruits,
but they'll have, this is the one thing, it plays into it, they'll have a budget for it.
No, they'll have planned for this eventuality, right? And they'll know what's achievable and what's not and how much of it to show. It was just good.
Obviously we said we had a lot of small gripes. I think the only gripe that I still have is I still think the fishmen don't really look that good in this.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Arlong, like, obviously the actor smashed it, no problem here. He does give that menacing vibe.
Do you think it's because it was makeup and not CG'd?
I don't think CG would have saved it.
No, it's just because it's a fish man. It's not a natural thing, and it's making that into a thing.
So it's weird to see.
And Arlong, obviously, I've heard like other people say he needs to be bigger and his nose needs to be longer, but those like overemphasized characteristics aren't going to fit in a live action, and that's the problem. You're tied down by limitations with that.
Yeah,
I think they did the best they could. I have no doubt about it.
Yeah,
but it's just one of those things that Kurobi looks like something just a little bit weird off about him. Like, it looks,
well, some of the fishmen did look odd, but like
there's nothing you can do about it. You can't do too much in this.
They look strange, but at least in the the art direction they've set for the series, at least they look like they fit in. It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, the people who say Arlong isn't big enough, imagine how he looked, right? And then now everybody's like more realistic looking. Then you've just got this fucking huge dude for no fucking reason. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, can you imagine when we get to Gecko Moria? Like, what are they going to do with him? Is he going to be a weird, like, bouncy man shape?
I hope he's like 4 people stacked up together in a weird costume.
Trench coat
like a
and
bunch
hat.
of kids. Yeah, yeah.
Are they going to make him look more normal? Probably.
My only way I think they can do Gecko Moria is making him off his like early design, before he got fat. Like, he has that kind of like slim devil form. That's the only way I can see.
Yeah. I mean, the rest of them are probably relatively, I say easy to do. I'm not a CG expert, but everyone else, like Perone, is easy to do when we get that far. What's his face? The invisible guy. He's easy to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. You got Kuma, and you got like those. It's the big characters which are going to be really hard to pull off.
Yeah, when you get the weird looking characters, what are they going to do with them?
Yeah, I think they'll have to really scale back stuff there.
Dory and Broggy is easy because you just make big people.
Yeah.
They can do that.
They're normal looking, they're just big. That's all it is. So yeah, it's easier to do in some retrospects. It's just there's those other characters which are...
I'm just trying to think when we actually get really weird looking ones.
Mr. 4 is probably the first weird one. Wapole you could probably deal with, but no, I think Mr. 4 with his giant bat, like just throwing stuff at Usopp.
Is Kaku gonna have a long nose? Because they can't really. How are they gonna mistake him for Usopp? Are they just gonna not have that joke in there?
Probably.
I think it's, again, they'll have to cut around certain characters, and whether Kaku gets cut or not.
Kaku will be in it. We want Giraffe Man. We'll get Giraffe Man and Wolf Boy.
This is the one thing, right, about this. I absolutely love season 1, and I'd love to see what season 2 looks like. But they can't do the whole series of One Piece with live action. They can't. The thing's still bloody going on.
All the actors will be 40 by the time they get to, like, Wano.
Yeah. Which makes me think, is Alabasta gonna be the stopping point for this? Because realistically, Alabasta was supposed to be the stopping point of the original series. Like, One Piece was actually supposed to finish at it, but it just got so...
That's really weird, though, because his real dream is to find the One Piece, and then he was just going to be like, boom, done.
Well, it was just... It would have been like, he Like, it probably would have just trailed off or something. The way the manga got cancelled, but
Or they would have done, one of those really shitty, like, time skips, like, last panel time skips where it's like, oh, and he found it and they all lived happily ever
it probably,
after.
that's it.
I'm so glad.
It would have been that. It would have been that.
Or it would have been a panel of, like, Luffy putting his straw hat down and being like, and that was my story.
Yeah.
Just like at the end of Kenichi, and it's like, oh, fuck you.
Yeah, it would have been that. It would have been that. Absolutely. I mean, that's how it's supposed to end. But luckily, Alabasta saved it, which makes me think that I don't know what they'll do. It probably just will be like the end of Alabasta, and then if they'll just be like, yeah, there's no more One Piece episodes. We can't really go much further or whatever. Like, they might just end it. It'd be disappointing for live action fans, but that's how it be.
True.
They won't be able to show the end of it. They can't show what the One Piece is. They can't, because you don't even know. It's going to be a Game of Thrones scenario. Like, it would be.
We don't even know what it is at the moment.
That ends in 5-6 years, yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to get to the point and see what they do with Doffy, because we all know how much I love Doflamingo.
Oh, he's an easy one to do. He's
Best character. Yeah, I know he's an easy one to do, but I just love him, and I'm just intrigued to see what they do with him.
I think they'll tone him down a lot, because realistically, you can't have this guy smiling all the time, doing funny walks. Because
Why not?
It looks, because
Yeah,
you're gonna get a Cowboy Bebop situation with Ed at the end, going, "Ooh, look at me, Spike! It's gonna be it's the thing that killed Cowboy Bebop."
No, they'll just get a tall, buff guy wearing a big feather boa and pink trousers, and he'll just be walking around with his hands in his pockets, smiling, going, everyone.
They will, and they'll probably make him more intimidating by killing a few people as well.
Only a few? Come on, he's got to kill loads of people.
When do we first see Doffy?
After Alabasta,
Yeah.
because that's the gathering of the warlords where we see Kuma, Dofi, and Mihawk.
Yes, of course.
And that is also just before the introduction of Blackbeard, which is also an interesting one, because I feel like they could easily introduce Blackbeard earlier in this.
Yeah.
True. I mean, they've already done the story of Mont Blanc Noland as well.
Yeah, like hints. There's hints everywhere. Bellamy's on a wanted poster, like Nathan said earlier. So
I cannot wait for that scene and episode of just Inaki Luffy just like absolutely decking him in one punch. But there you go. That actually leads me on to something that it niggled me a little bit as well. We did get ideas of how frickin' strong Luffy actually is in the East Blue, because we all know Luffy in the East Blue at that point is pretty much way too OP for everyone he comes across in the East Blue.
yeah,
He beats all of them without so much as breaking a sweat, even Arlong. And we did get a little bit of that when Arlong swings his sword at him and Luffy literally just grabs it with one hand and shatters it.
yeah.
Like, and even Arlong's shocked by that. But then, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think these lines in this actually happens in the manga or the anime. But where, like, Luffy's just like, well, if I can't beat you, I'm just going to destroy the building instead.
Doesn't do that, no.
No, yeah, I don't remember him doing that. I swear it was just a straight slugfest.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just like, the building got destroyed by the Gungan Battle Axe. But it just made me think, like, yeah, but Luffy, you can beat him, man.
Yeah.
You can't just beat him by destroying the building. You can beat him. You are strong enough. And they did make him very, like, battle-weary and strong. And, like, he did take out a lot of the others quite easily-ish. But, like, I don't know. I just felt like he could have taken a fight with Arlong could have been a bit more than just a few punches. Arlong like, ha ha ha, my teeth grow back, and then destroying the building instead.
My one thing with the Arlong fight really is I don't think they gave Luffy, like, they showed Arlong throwing Luffy into pillars and stuff like that and like all that, and it really looks like he does take damage from it, which isn't something that happens in the actual series, but fair enough. But like there's certain bits where like in the actual series Arlong actually takes bites out of Luffy. Like, he literally, like, there's teeth going into, like, his skin and stuff.
I was waiting for his teeth to come firing out like he does.
Yeah. There's certain bits like that which I feel like they could have done it a bit better, but like again, I feel this comes down to timings of episodes as well because they fit a lot within that 1 hour, and
True.
the Arlong fight didn't feel awfully paced or whatever. I think it did pace really well. I think it's just it's fitting all that. You got Chu's fight in there, you got Kurobi's fight, and you got Arlong's fight. Not to mention you've got Garp's fight at the end as well.
Yeah.
True.
We fit 4 fights in that one episode. There's only so much you can do with it, and there's a lot to tell in that. So you can see why they make certain cuts. Again, yeah, it's a shame they don't have all these things, but this is the great thing about this live action as well, is that it isn't just, oh, here you can watch One Piece from it, be fine. It's one way to watch One Piece, but you've also got the anime, which tells it a completely different way.
Yeah.
Or the manga, yeah.
And like, there's all sorts you can watch, and that's the joy of watching One Piece, is that you can choose which form to do it, and then just go with that. Like, you can get into it from the live action, it's great, but you can also get into it through the manga, the anime. Like, there's so many different ways to get into this, and this is a great way to get it out to the fans.
True. And I'm glad they included Gum Gum Gatling at the end there as well.
Yeah.
Because it actually looked fine.
He never really used the same move twice, like apart from Pistol, I think, which is really good. Like,
But he beat everyone in the way that he normally does. So we got Bazooka against Buggy, which is accurate. We got Bell against Kuro, which is accurate. Like, the second he grabbed his arms, I was like, yes, they're doing it like properly, which is great. And then obviously Battle Axe against Arlong.
yeah.
Does he use Gatling against Arlong?
He did, yeah, but it wasn't the finishing.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't the finisher, so that was, yeah, cool. I wasn't sure if the first time we saw Gatling was a finisher against someone.
No, he was just using it against him. I think it's just a move, yeah. It was good though.
The only time it's actually a proper finisher is kind of against Lucci towards the end, isn't it? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
All of that was good, and I'm very much looking forward to the point where we first hear Zoro going one sword style, Onigiri.
He's not gonna call out any of his moves. He's not gonna, like.
Yeah, I don't get the feeling he will.
He's got to at some point.
But like, I don't know, because his whole thing is everybody's like, all good fighters shout out their finishing moves. No, they don't.
Yeah.
That's his thing right now. So
the only way I could see him doing it is him doing it and then Sanji calling him out on it, because they have that kind of banter. He's like, oh yeah, using it now, are you? And he would just be a shut up, like, stupid waiter or whatever, because they can't say curly brow because he has no curly brows.
yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah, so he's calling him waiter, but we did get Mosshead, didn't we?
We did get Mosshead. I did like that. It's like, hey, Mosshead, there you go.
Yeah, which was good. But yeah, honestly, Shanks's crew, I loved all of them. Yasop seemed perfectly cast. Like, what I liked that they did with Shanks's crew is, like, they all were very much, when there was the big fight, none of them were, because they didn't need to, I guess, which is very much in the same in the anime and the manga. Like, it was just very, you saw how skilled they were.
Yeah.
It was just very standard fighting. It wasn't any of the overpowered crazy fighting that we've seen. Like, we know that Lucky Roo is like the fastest person in the entire verse, but we don't see any of his speed or anything. I don't think we've even seen his speed in the manga.
I think the craziest thing in that fight was Yasop like rebounding a shot off that pillar.
They did it well. Like, the whole crew actually, like, they choreographed that fight so well, in the fact that you got
It was brilliant.
those 3 main players of Shanks's crew just like absolutely firing pistols and all sorts. Okay, another small gripe. Ben Beckman in this, in the fact that like I feel like Ben Beckman in the actual series is like a very, like, how do I put this? Like a guy that looks quite cool. Like, as a character, and he is obviously Shanks' first mate. We don't really see much of him in this at all.
No, he's definitely there.
He's there, but Ben Beckman in the live action kind of looks like a drunk they kind of pulled off the street. A little bit, and it's just like some guy that looks like he might listen to AC/DC in the back of his car, just like smoking a joint or something. And like, nothing against the guy, because obviously they didn't really focus on him too much, which is fair. But no, when you got like future fights, like, again, we won't see him fight at all for ages.
Okay, I can see what Pepe's saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I sort of, from what I remember, I could sort of see it, but now Sam's showing us a picture, like, yes, okay, I can really see it.
This guy's got to fight Kizaru in the Marineford. I doubt they'll ever get to Marineford.
They'll just recast.
They can't recast. They can't recast. They've established him now. Just like they say, like,
They didn't establish him as much as they did Yasop and Lucky.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't remember seeing his face all that much.
Yeah, they don't focus on him.
No, I could tell from the costume that it was Beckman, but they didn't really like do him, did they?
No.
What did you guys think, by the way, of the two instances where they kind of hinted and showed off Haki?
They did it subtly.
Yeah.
They did it. Yeah, I mean, they both did it subtly and trying to hint that something was going on there.
Absolutely.
I don't know. In a way, I think it would have been a bit better if we literally just saw, we didn't see something suddenly zoom in and go weird with Shanks's eye, and he's just like, go away, or whatever it is he says to the sea beast.
Get lost.
If he just goes, get lost, and then the sea beast backs down, we'd all be like, ooh, what's going on? But the fact that they zoomed in on it, it was just like, oh, okay, something's going on here.
See, I think it was good that something was going on, but if I had to have done it, to me personally, I think it would have been a better shot if it was a zoomed out shot, and then you just sort of saw a little bit of turbulence on the water, like as he's saying get lost at like normal volume, but it's just like a far out shot. You see Sea Beast and then Shanks and Luffy, and then you just sort of see a lot of waves for some reason just around the boat. And then that's it. Like, I think that's also, for me, that would have been a pretty good way. Like, obviously, I know it's Haki, but like, as a better indicator to someone who doesn't know, maybe something like that to be like, oh, hang on, what was that? What did he do?
They did the exact same with Garp at the end as well, with observation Haki.
That's what I think it does really well, though, because, again, at that stage in One Piece when you're watching the series, you don't know what the frick Haki is.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't really get a hint of it, like, until really, like, Water 7. And then even then, it doesn't get explained that much until further down.
Well, I'd say a bit more when you can hear the sound of the swords and the wind and stuff, and it's very much a hint towards it, I'd say.
But you also get hints of, like, obviously, Eneru uses it in Skypiea, and obviously you see other people. Like they all hint at it, but you never get told about it. And that's what this does, is the fact that you're so early on with it that you don't need to worry about getting, because it confuses things as well.
Yeah, it does. Like, suddenly, you got a slow intro everything, don't you?
Also, it's not clear that you'd even get that far to explain it. The more cryptic, the better, I guess.
That's it. You could be like, oh, it's just with those bits with Shanks scaring away the Sea Beast and Garp dodging the fist. It's like you'd see it and you'd be like, oh, that's normal. They're just really strong fighters is what you'd get from that. You'd no way expect that that's Haki if you just watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It's just because we know, we're just like, oh, that's them hinting at Haki. Okay, yeah, that's a good point. That's a fair point.
I guess Pepe's right. You could either say that Shanks was just that strong, or that you could explain it away with like other anime tropes, you know, like, oh, that was just Shanks' killing intent and the Sea Beast was scared.
Yeah. That's what I thought in the, like, when you read the first chapter and watch the first episodes of One Piece.
Yeah, to be fair, that's what I thought back then. I thought the Sea Beast was just like, yo, this guy's pissed. I'm out.
Yeah, that's what you think, innit? Because it's just like, it's like we said, the bloodlust and the anger. Like, he's scared. That's all it would be. And Garp, he dodged the fist because he's just a skilled fighter, because he's the Vice Admiral of the Marines.
Yeah, true.
I mean, we had 2 episodes before seen him literally pick up a cannonball and launch it half any cannon.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know that these guys are strong. Especially, like, it gets even more established in the last episode where Mihawk goes to Shanks and says, like, oh yeah, they have that interaction, and that, you know, they're powerful fighters. That's again how strong you see that Shanks is. He's able to be on level with Mihawk.
And we saw Mihawk literally chop a ship in 2 from a distance.
It's a great intro.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mihawk's intro is amazing because it is just him destroying Don Krieg and all of his crew, whilst also on the phone.
I can do that though while I'm on the phone, you know. Just destroy fleets of ships, yeah.
Yeah, casually swinging my sword around,
Yeah.
the air pressure just cutting ships in half. Average Monday, innit?
It's the reason why they don't do galleons anymore. Sam's just been cutting them up all the whole
What can I say? What can I say?
He's just so, like, he just ruined the galleon business.
Sam can't have phone calls unless he's mashing up old wooden ships.
It's what it is.
The Kati Sark got ruined because Sam destroyed it.
Sam had a phone call, yeah.
Really, while I'm recording this, I should be destroying some things, but
All right. Is there anything else you want to say about this series, guys, before we wrap up? Because we've been talking about this for a while, but is there anything?
Not that I can think of.
No, I think I'm good.
Sweet.
I think I'm good. I mean, the one thing is I like that we get to see a bit more of like the interior of Mary, because they never really show much of anything on the inside.
That's true, yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see.
I don't want to come across as harsh, but that's not something I've ever cared about.
No, fair. Also, I really want to know what the game Garp and Kobe was playing and how you play it, because it looked so nonsensical to me. But,
It looked like
Go,
it was
wasn't
an Othello or Go board,
Yeah.
but then they just weren't flipping over the pieces when they like put theirs on opposing sides. It looked like they were only half playing the game.
oh, I don't know. It just looks really confusing to me. They were just literally putting beads down in nonsensical places and then like, oh my god, you won.
Yeah, they just weren't like flipping over, like swapping out their pieces when they like put on either side, like made a
Yeah.
one on each side of their like lines or whatever. But that was just a Go board, right?
Yeah, it looked like a Go board, yeah.
No, I have no idea. I was just like, what is this game?
Apparently, we're just massive weebs, Pepe, because we looked and was like, oh, that's a Go board, yeah.
Is Go Japanese?
Yes.
Is it? Oh, okay. Did they just call it Othello just for the sake of calling it Othello to bring it over here?
Yeah, I think so.
Fair enough. There we go. A little bit of Othello lore then. But yes, thank you, Sam, for joining us for this episode.
Pleasure.
Do you want to give a shout out to where we can find you again? I'm pretty sure our viewers know by now, but if you want to give a shout out anyway.
Yeah, sure. I'm on youtube.com/The Wilder Side. Do fun little foodie content. In fact, these boys are going to be appearing in a couple of weeks in one of my vids, so do look out for that.
Oh.
Yeah, very fun. I'm looking forward to it. That's where I am. I don't really do much on socials, so don't worry about those.
No, thank you for joining us, mate. Always a pleasure to have you. And thank you for listening, guys. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell button for any future Culture Boys videos coming on YouTube. You know what that is. And also click the links in the description to hear us on all the podcast platforms. We're also on Twitter. Follow us there. And yeah, tell us what you thought about One Piece, and we'll see you next time for another Cultured Boys episode.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.